Okay, Izzy, y'all, I'm preparing the stream. Just a second. I'm going to show y'all the little Christine figure here in a minute. I'll put her right in the camera. Hold on. I got her up with her new hair. Put her right behind the camera. I hope I don't knock her off. I keep them in a Ziploc. I'm making a few at a time. Few at a time. And my signal is going all to hell. As usual. This sucks. Is it even working on the stream? I am having the archive recording. Has it even got audio? Put her right behind the camera. I hope I don't knock her off. I'm building a few of those at a time. I buy them piece by piece and then I assemble them together. Torsos, heads, hairs. Okay, here we go. We're getting ready. It's probably going to be one of them shoddy streams. So it keeps going in the red. Oh, by the way, we don't have to put up with the blacking out picture now. Because I had ordered some new cables. But I had bought it for the Xbox. You know, the original Xbox. I'd forgotten I ordered 2 of them. Well, mine broke after I'd ordered them. I kid you not. But I came in today. So I was able to fix my splitter. The one that has the Xbox, the PlayStation, and all. That's the reason I've been doing the Xbox only the past few days, because this is the one I had plugged in, and that only had one output. So, I mean, one input. One input, 2 outputs. Where my Switch, it has 4 inputs, 2 outputs. That looks more like her hair there, the one I bought. It's a little thicker on the little one. But it's close. It's similar. It's similar. Let's put her right back here for now. Okay. I don't pay attention to the eye colors because I found out that if you go with the heads, a lot of times with just the black dots, they're cheaper. I go the cheapest heads I can get. So I don't worry about eye color too much when I'm building the figures. I build them as cheap as possible, but I make them look how I want them to look. The hair pieces is usually the most I have into them. Hair pieces cost more.
Hey, what's happening with it, pimp? You know who it is. It's your boy LD. Hey, I know we ain't chopped it up in a minute.
And my JCBW characters, I built most of them with a bulk. I'm thinking about doing another bulk where you just get a bunch of bulk bodies and heads, and then I just go later on and get the hairs for them. That's how I did the JCBW. I got a couple more JCBWs that doesn't have, I haven't made. I haven't made Neptunus, but I got a head for Neptunus now. I think I even got a body for him. I just got to get a hair piece for him. Because I'm going to be doing something else with a head that I got soon. I'm going to be making some changes to a figure that I was using the head for. So, hope I ain't got them tongues stuck to my lip. It sure as feel like it. I love my lips feeling sticky. Yeah, I build those as cheap as I can on a poor man's budget. With the exception of the real customs. And I'll show y'all some of them soon. I'm just not through with them yet. But as soon as I get through with them, I'll let y'all see some of the customs that I've really made. Put a little more into them as I actually drew the bodies. I'll show them soon. Oh, I forgot. I need to switch. We're in the regular world. I want to be free world right now. So I'm going to go switch. Sometimes I don't mind. But other times I do. So I want to be the solo. I want to be solo tonight. Sometimes I like being in the real world. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I like being by myself. This world rejects me. I actually did that this week. This world threw me away. This world never gave me a chance. I don't believe in your institutions. I did what you wanted me to. I'm like a cancer in resistance. I got a little surprise for you. I don't know if there'll be a car over there or not. We'll see. Yes, I am using the PS5 tonight. I don't usually use it. I don't play it as much as I play some of the game systems. Switch has gotten even less now. Indeed, I kind of refell in love with my Switch this weekend, just bringing it to turnbuckle. I played it for a couple. I played it all weekend. I've not been touching for my Switch ever since I got the PS5. But most of my attention goes to my Xboxes, and particularly my S, my Series S. My signal's doing something really crazy right now. Nice music. I will post the archive if something happens and it goes off.
What can the best mechanic in LS do for you?
I've got the archive recording, so. Bom, 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 bom. You know, really fuck this shit. I'm sick of it. Whoever you are, fuck you. Fuck you, you motherfucker. That's what I think of you. Yeah, fuck you. I actually do know it's somebody because it shows in the logs. I thought it was the internet for a long time. And I happened to be updating my router. It started the third week of October. And it's been that way since. So fuck you. Let's go Sebastian Bach. Fuck you! You cocksucker! That's what Bach used to do in the old days. Y'all remember when he used to get in them fights? That's where I learned a lot of my dirty mouth at. Axl Rose, Sebastian Bach, and Nikki Sixx. Oh, Nikki Sixx did some real bad ones in the past. He even did the thing that you don't say. The security guard. Of course, the security guard was treating his crowd like crap. And he told him, get out of his crowd, you. And he said the F word and the N word. He called him one. He said the word you don't say. That Nikki Sixx was the badass. But he was mistreating his crowd. I mean, the way I look at it, anybody who does stuff like that, they deserve being called whatever they get called. And I'll back him up on that one. Yeah, that's where I learned. I mixed them with my daddy. I always tell that story. I mixed rock and roll with my daddy, and I made badass me. And now I'm wanting to repent and be Christian me, but for some reason it just don't happen. Probably because I don't want it to happen. Because I kind of like being that way. I kind of like who I am. I kind of don't want to change, but yet I feel like I need to. But I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? But I like my rock and roll self. I like the rock and roll, the rebel that I've created. That rebels basically against everything. I mean, I rebel against even the things that normal people don't rebel against. I mean, I'm talking about the people of my class. That they're all on this want to be woke, etc. And I rebel against even that. I don't want nobody telling me how to be. Nobody. Nobody? Nobody. You know the David Lee Roth song? Nobody. Nobody cares about me. Ba, 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 ba. Boo, boo. I'm just a gigolo. Everywhere I go, people knows the part I'm playing. You know, that's the Holy Spirit working when you feel like you. That's Him trying to convince you that you need to do it. I just hope you never quit speaking. Then you know you're in trouble. I'm just a gigolo everywhere I go. But I kind of do like the rock and roll me I became. That's one thing I do like about several pastors I've run into. They don't fit the mold. In other words, they do things God's way, but they still ain't one of those religious type peoples. That's Rodney Howard Brown and Jonathan Shuttlesworth. I love those two. They're two of my favorites. They don't play by those religious books, but yet they're not no vulgar rock and roll me like me. So I kind of am looking at them sort of like how a kid I look up to people, you know, even though I'm not a kid anymore. I've always had bad influences with a little bit of my daddy who had some good qualities, had bad qualities too. But he had some good qualities. Like he didn't like rock and roll because one time he was going off about how bad I was. And I told him, well, I should be bad. I mixed you with all the my favorite rock stars. He got mad and he walked off. But I kind of look at them as my Christian childhood influences, even though I'm not a child. I guess that's an inner child. That rock and roll spirit is like a kid. So it probably does need some good influences, even though it's had a bunch of bad influences. I'm a mixture of good and bad. I kind of like that. I know it's on a rock and roll, but I like it. I know it's on a rock and roll, but I like it. Like it. Yes, I do. I like it. I like not being like all the other people. I like being my own person. Now you find out more and more. You'll see things happen and hear about things, and you think, "Gee, I wasn't so original after all." But at least you thought you was original. Like I'm gonna tell y'all something about the new boat train. Now, I kid you not, me and my goofy sister, we used to talk our fingers and things and our toes and when we was little. And they got this creature in boat train, the new boat train. So I'm talking about the newer one. And it was like a little sticky thing. I don't know what it was. It'd been like a long finger. And it went, bro. We used to do stuff. I kid you not. And I laughed my ass off when I seen that thing. It reminded me of that. Because it was going, bro. It was like some kind of strange world the boat train was in. And it was a stick thing. It looked like a go. I don't know what it was. It was some big long toe or finger. I mean, that would have been what it. But beat it all. It's funny because we used to make our toes and fingers do stuff like that. But we're talking about that didn't exist back then. Boat train existed back then. But that boat train didn't exist back then. And I was watching my TV. I told y'all today I got a lag. By the way, if this is choppy, I will post the full archive of it somewhere. It probably will be choppy. You're probably not going to hear my full conversation. If you want to hear the full conversation, you'll just have to check out the post of the recording. Because I'm all over the mouth tonight. I was talking about rock and roll. Now I'm talking about cartoons. I found out she's near home. Like if you look at if you get out my record collection and the ones that I've really listened to, and you look at the things they believed in and the things they stood up for, I'm completely opposite, political wise. When you look at everything, Mudhoney, Sonic Youth, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Madonna, kind of agreed with Michael Jackson on a lot of things. Some of the things I didn't agree with him, some of them I did. Like he started speaking out against the garbage that was doing to our world when they started accusing him of being a child molester. And that night before he died, he did the prayer about 2012. and the things that it's going to try to do to the world, the population reduction, all that stuff. And this thing, you know, he's dead the next one. They had it on video. You could find it where he was praying. He had his people he was fixing to start his tour with. And he said, I don't care what God you pray for to. We need some goodness in this world because there's a lot of darkness coming in the future. 2012 and beyond. And I'm paraphrasing it. And boy, have we not seen the darkness. Boy, are we not seeing the darkness now. The thing about it is, it started, according to Rodney Howard Brown's book on the virus, the phantom virus, they started that fucking thing in 1974, the year before I was born. They started talking about them Bilderbergs. Not Bilderbergs, what's their names? Rockefellers. They had the Bilderberg. They brought it back after COVID this summer. I know I'm talking podcast talk. I'm going to get out of that because I'm not supposed to talk about that on games. I probably should say fuck that and talk it anyway, but I won't. Because I do this specifically for gaming. I got a place where I talk my podcast talk as my podcast. I didn't do one today, by the way. I slept all night. I went to sleep somewhere around after supper. I went to sleep. And I slept about after midnight. After midnight. Actually, it was a minute before midnight. A few minutes before midnight. So it wasn't after midnight quite yet. We're going to let it all hang after midnight. After midnight. Do you know one of his songs? I've only sung it a couple of times and laughed my ass off the whole time. And y'all know me. I'm not into drugs. But this like getting stoned. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom. Cocaine. Bom, 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 bom. It's one of those I used to like singing on karaoke. I used to do it for kicks. She's alright, she's alright, she's alright. Cocaine. Bom, 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 cocaine. Y'all know me, I don't do drugs. I don't even suggest drugs. It ruins people's lives.
I asked for you to help me. Instead, this is how you treat me.
Like you. I get a like a comical thrill out of, but I don't do it. So it can be easily comical to me because I don't do it. I saw all the people that I liked either ruin their lives or kill themselves on it. So when I grew up, I decided not going there. But I probably wouldn't anyway. I didn't have parents that drunk or anything. I mean, drugs, alcohol, that mess your life up really bad. Really bad. And I knew some personal people that messed their lives up. I won't even tell you anything about so you don't know who I'm talking about. But, I mean, there's been real life people, not just fire people. Fire people like Kurt Cobain, even Nikki Sixx, who survived it all. He must have really had a praying grandma or a praying somebody, some people praying for him big time. Because God has delivered him every time. I mean, he's lucky to even be here. Go read his story. I don't think it's luck. I think somebody's been praying really hard for Nikki Sixx. Somebody loves him. I'm glad too, because I do pray for him. But somebody must really love him and really get down on their knees. I love all the rock stars that influence me. Even when I see they're bad, I'll still say, Lord, you need to watch over this person. Give them a little more time. That's me. I don't even give up on them when I think they're doing bad. Because, you know, I can go bad at times, too. I mean, I'm bad with my mouth. Tevy boo. If I get mad, woo. The worst of the worst comes out of that heart of darkness that Jesus warned me about and I didn't listen. I thought, oh, Lord, I can handle it. Little old 14-year-old me, I can handle it, Lord. Still trying to decide what he was really like. But he was teaching me even though I wasn't really wanting to give in, wanting to believe in him. I was kind of wanting to believe in him but didn't want to believe in him, but he would still show things my way. Because I was hearing at school, the teachers were fighting it. But the stuff they were making them teach, and they were openly opposing it. They were letting you know it. And I remember these tales. The stuff that was coming for the 90s. You know, I was getting out of school in the 90s. I mean, even if I'd been in the school in the 90s, and I'd went the whole time, and I went to homeschool those last 2.5, we're talking about 93, 94 when I was getting out. So I wasn't going to be in the school much of the 90s. But them teachers, a lot of them were having fits because they was Christians. And I would overhear it in the copy room. Because the sick room was right by the copy room, and I was in the sick room all the time. And I would overhear them complaining, some of them. You know, I had the one teacher who tried to take my Bible. And I stood up against her. And my Bible was a keepsake, by the way. It wasn't. And that's the bad thing I hate about it. Because it would have been even more. Just imagine the glory in it if it actually been for Jesus. Because, see, I won't get no glory in that. It'll burn. But I stood up for the principle of the First Amendment and her not having the right to take my Bible. See, I already know it's wood, hay, and stubble because it wasn't about God. It was about the principle that she was trying to take my Bible. Because I didn't count myself a Christian back then. I don't. Even though I grew up hearing about God, I had this big question whether he was real or whether it was really him that was him. I believed there was something making everything. I just didn't know if it was that particular guy. You know what I'm saying? I'd ask him, show yourself to me, Lord. I'd do stuff like that. And finally, after something appeared to my mother that was big and huge, I gave in and said, well, Lord, you're real. I'm going to believe in you. Then I said the sinner's prayer. I've always believed in the prospect of a God because nothing comes from nothing. You can't have anything from nothing. Like even, I'm going to use this as an example, because he's one of the challengers of God. You know, Nothing Records. Even Nothing Records didn't come from nothing. It came from Trent Reznor and whoever else helped put it together. He's one of the challengers of God. He's one of those you find in my catalog that I would totally disagree with, and I played them heavily. Well, see, here's me on all this, and I don't know if it's right or not, and it's probably poisonous. It's probably a poison, and I wouldn't suggest being like this. Here's how I've always been, but that's your opinion, but that's not my opinion. Even when I would choose music and stuff. When I was listening to music and I liked what I was hearing, like even if it was blasphemous and God, in other words, I didn't take the stance I should have took. You know, you remember one of the things that captured God about David. He loved God with all his heart. And when that big Goliath was challenging his God, it made him so angry. He said, I want to shut that big creep up. He's insulting my Lord. Who is he to insult my Lord? See, here's me. I live in America. Living in America. And I'm First Amendment minded. And I think, well, that's your opinion. It's not mine. I kind of tolerate it, even though I might disagree. Instead of taking the stance like David, and that's who you want to be like, by the way, because you want to get God's attention. You be a man after God's heart, not your own. So that was David. He did his worldly things and he messed his life all to hell. But he loved his God with all of his heart. Instead of looking at it, well, that's the First Amendment. This is America. David would have been, who are you to challenge my Lord? See, that's what God looks for. So that's why I always tell you, if I'm ever anything, I'll be the lowest of the low. And if I was bigger than I am, I'd be, oh, thank you, Jesus. I'd be just praising him probably 1,000 years on that if he gave me a light. I'd probably spend millions of years just praising him because I wasn't worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. You know, that's the. Because I'm always looking at things with my American brain. I'm an American. Down. This world rejects me. What? No, that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, David Bowie and 9 Inch Nails. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. My brain thinks with the American brain. In other words, I don't get offended easily. And because it's America, I just look at it, well, that's America. You got the right to think that way. Even about a tranny or a gay or any of that, I think, well, you got the right to think that way, but it ain't right. I can't tell you it's right. If I do that, I'll be really sinning against God. I don't hate those people. I don't hate anybody. I don't even hate people I disagree with unless they're wanting me dead. Then I might hate them. They're doing something to me, I might hate them. If they're trying to kill me, I'd hate them. And I'm not even supposed to hate my enemies, but that's a problem I have. He's calling again. He's mad.
Where are the cars I requested? I tell you where. Still not stolen. Work, please.
Okay. Let's steal some cars. Wonder what cars he's looking for. Can you find out? I'm going to look and see if I can find out what cars he's looking for. She's a bad worker, y'all. That's why she has to steal cars herself and make money. Because she's got me behind her head. And I'm good for nothing. Good for nothing, as my daddy used to say. That don't really bother me anymore. It used to bother me when I was young. I seen what he's talking about. What I have seen in this current world we live in what my father was striving to not make me want to be. But you know what? His preaching and stuff doesn't work. You want to know what's really working? Seeing people be good for nothing. That works better than hearing him preach to you. I'm telling you, he used to hate that song, Stop reading me the riot act while my brains are still intact. You say it's raining, but it's pissing down my back, so stop reading me. He said, they're corrupting, them damn things corrupting my children. I said, they ain't corrupting me. I already thought that way. I did. I always thought that way. I didn't ever want nobody preaching to me. Stop reading me the riot act while my brains are still intact. You say it's raining, but you're pissing down my back, so stop reading me the riot act. The riot. One of my all-time favorite Skid Row songs. I probably played that one more than any song. That's why I don't try to preach to people, even though I've been accused of times. I ain't gonna tell you nothing. I'll just tell you my experience. Cocksucker! I'll share my experience with you. I wish I could be as entertaining as that Skid Row video, though. You know, that was really entertaining. A lot of rock stars tried to rip that off. And you know what? I see it. I'll pull out these videotapes of these rock stars, and I think, them freaks are trying to copy Skid Row. And they ain't nowhere near as funny as Skid Row was. Probably the worst part about it was probably the bottle incident. And I'm sure they captured that because it was a big thing that really hurt their band. That's probably about one of the worst things about that DVD. But you know, I mean, really, I mean, I can see a lot of people were mad at Sebastian Bach. I've got to really be in this defense and be in the defense of the crowd too. Because they can get hurt as well. I mean, you're talking about the fans getting hurt. When you're throwing bottles and shit at the rock stars, they can get hurt. What about their health? I mean, yes, he was reckless, and yes, he did hurt a girl, and I hate he done it. And if I'd have been her, I'd have been pissed off. But I can see his point too. I'm sorry. I can see his point too. I can see Bach's side in that just like I can see the fan side. And I've completely lost internet, so this is probably going to have to be archive only. I mean, he could have got really hurt real bad. And I know the girl got hurt. And he just had a temper and he lost it. And I tell you, politically, I disagree with Bach 100%. Probably every time we read, we're exactly the opposite. We're like from different planets. But I always loved his voice. Indeed, him and Axl Rose, I was listening to them basically pretty much the same time. Just Axl was the one I got obsessed with. He's calling again.
It's for winners, friend. So what's wrong with you?
He's calling again. Because she's lousing off. I could have seen this point too back then too, though, and I did. I seen both sides of it. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. I've gotten hit several times in concerts because of people doing stuff that they shouldn't have been doing. That video was one of the funniest videos I ever seen in my life. Snaky Boy. Sometime in the near future, I got to build my Skid Row minifigures. Like I built an Axl and Duff and Slash, and I built a few of Hinder too. I still got two more to do with them because we have the whole band. I made Mike Ryden and Blower first. It's not that I liked them better. I liked them all. I just made them first. She tore that one all the way up. It won't even run anymore. I've never done that before. That's the first. Mike Ryden is one of my favorite bassists, though. You know who my top bassists are? I'll tell you all here in a minute. My top bassists are Duff McKagan, Chris Novoselic, and Mike Ryden. Those are my top 3 bassists. Gotta add Nikki Sixx in there too. Ain't he a bassist? I believe Nikki is. Guy in Slayer, it was his birthday yesterday. We're the 7th now, the anniversary of my Tales of Hurt and Paranormal, which is my most immature recording. Because that was the one I was first learning how to do different tracks besides plugging in a karaoke mic and recording on a radio. I had to actually use 4 tracks. I use 8 now. Sometimes even more if I mix it on a computer. I gotta get back on and work on my album, by the way. I want to get it done. I want to get her done. It's going to be weird. I wanted it to be a grungy rock album, but it's not going to be a grungy rock album. My albums never turn out how I've envisioned. Not a single one of them has ever done that. Even Tales of Hurt and Paranormal. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. The second one didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. They never. I'll go playing. So I'm that way with karaoke too. I'll go playing. Like when I first started, I've learned. When I first started going on stage, and I got obsessed with that, and I was enjoying it, and I still enjoy it. But I was so excited, I'd sit down all week, and I'd plan a song list of what I'm going to do. And then I get there, and I do quite the opposite of anything I'd planned. I write that list anymore. I just do whatever I'm feeling. And this week, I pulled out a bunch of new ones I didn't even ever do in a long time, so I just get tired of doing the same ones.
Los Santos is a dangerous place, and vehicle crashes are at an all-time high. No one knows this better than Morse Mutual Insurance.
Nobody knows it better than Christine.
Insurance with us.
How many vehicles has she crashed over the years?
Morse Mutual Insurance is sold at participating garages.
Over the year. I guess she's only been around for a year. Let's see, I started developing her last year. She didn't even have a name in the beginning. I got that car that looked like the Christine car. No, she did have a name. She just had whatever I wrote down on her. I didn't even have any plans for this character. She kind of just developed. I think I named her several names before I ever made it her. Did she run right into a car? How grand is that? I didn't even have an idea where I was going with her. And then I got that car. And I started running over people with that car. And I said, she's being Christine. I even gave her red hair, because you know the car was red. Christine was red. She was blind in the beginning. I remember she was blind. She was blind. And she had several names I put down on her. But then when she became Christine was when I got the car to look like Christine. And I even gave her red hair to fit the red car. So Christine developed off the car Christine. I took what was in the car Christine and put in a girl. Whatever Stephen King wrote in Christine, I put her in a real woman. That'd make a good movie. I wouldn't care if people stole it. That'd make a good movie. Christine is a woman instead of a car. I mean, it ain't like I own anything on the name Christine. How many Christines are out here? I don't even own that storyline. That was Stephen King's. Somebody needs to make a movie of Christine as a woman instead of a car. It might even make you a lot of money on it. Who knows? Then again, it might be a flop. If you put it filled with woke junk and stuff, it'll be a flop. And I don't bash people that think like that because there's some good qualities in some of it. So don't get mad at me if you are that kind of. I'm just saying. But you don't want to fill these movies because that Top Gun is an example of why you want to just make a movie to make a movie. You appeal to all classes. You're not just appealing to some people. And then that way you're like the old days where you make good money. You make your value back. See what I'm saying? It's one thing to sit and preach a message. That's another thing to make something that just entertains everybody. Christine's a regular name, though. I mean, it ain't like I own anything on Christine. I haven't seen the Top Gun, but I've seen people talking about it. It sounds like it's a pretty good movie. I'm thinking about trying it out when it's out there, when you can watch it. Stephen King's another guy. Found out I don't think politically like at all either. Boy, I was a big fan of his throughout the years. I mean, huge Stephen King. I was even part of his club several times. I probably still got the freaking skeleton somewhere. You know, I used to give a little skeleton keychain. I probably got that freaking skeleton keychain somewhere. Big fan of Stephen King's. Probably still got the book somewhere. The ones I kept. That's another thing I bought me when I got my disability was a Stephen King subscription. My mom and dad didn't buy. They didn't fall for niches like that. I was the dumb butt that fell for niches like that. My father, I don't anymore. Like you know, you got all these pluses and stuff today. I had to pick something up. Hold on. You got all these pluses and stuff. I don't subscribe to them, even though there's things I want to watch on them. I've been minding seeing that Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's going on right now. You know what I mean? I'm a Star Wars buff. Whoa! She fell. I just don't have any. I can't spread any more money out. I've done got over $100 coming out of for stuff that I'm subscribed to between Netflix and Hulu. I can't do it anymore. I'm stretched out. I probably should just cancel them because I only watch them every once in a while. But I keep them just in case there's that movie I want to watch or I want to watch a movie. I don't always. Especially since I've been spending a lot of time gaming. I don't hardly watch anything at all. I don't even get to watch my wrestling anymore. I set it on the DVD and then I don't watch it. And then I have to end up deleting it or they delete themselves. They eventually delete themselves too. I just don't have time. But with my gaming, I don't have time to watch anything. Because any other time I'm either resting, sleeping, or eating, or getting ready to go somewhere, or going to Turnbuck on Fridays, and the wrestling shows once a month. And I don't have time. Any extra access time goes here. Of my day, whatever I've got left of my day. And I have to rest a lot with my sicknesses. That's one of the reasons why I don't work. It's not I'm a lazy bum. I really don't work because I really ain't able. And see, that's the one thing my daddy never got. That's one of the things he'd insult me on. He did get it later on in his life because he went blind. He just thought you're supposed to go even if you couldn't go. And then he found out there are some things that makes it where you just can't go. But it took him going blind. He had to physically go blind to know that. I'm trapped in here. There we go! Woo! I'd love to be a singer. But boy, it wears me out at karaoke if I have to do a whole lot of it. If it's a normal and sometimes I'd feel like I wouldn't get to sing much. When you have a slow night, you have more time to sing, and then that's when I realized that, like when I get to do 10 songs or something like that, I realize how unable I really am. Because I feel it for the next few days, but I still do it anyway. But I wouldn't dare be able to depend on that because it would eventually depend. I'd do that every night or every few nights. I would, and then still just once a week. You couldn't make a living off once a week, especially a nobody. Well, if you was a nobody, you'd have to be out there every single night of the week. And you'd have to be out there performing somewhere, and you'd have to be trying to sell your merchandise. I couldn't do it. It's not like they would talk about that. That was one of the things that was one of the things they tried to beat me out of about. And that judge, he'd just say to him, "Well, that ain't logical." That's the reason I got it, because I got a sensible judge. He'd argue with them with women. There's always cooking up ways you can make money, just to keep you off the disability. He'd just say to them, he'd stop them and say, "That ain't logical." It wasn't. They wasn't talking logic. They was talking out their asses. One of the things he was obsessing, and they were trying to cook up ways that I could make money back then, when he was giving me my disability, was, well, they come up with ideas about he says he doesn't have the education level for that. They would cook up like these jobs that you'd have to have education for. I didn't have the education. And then they would cook up other jobs that you could get. He has to drive to Atlanta and Chattanooga. Who's going to drive him? He don't drive. He's going to make his mama drive him? He laughed at him. And that's true. I don't drive. I still don't drive. They would cook up these illogical situations trying to beat me out of that disability. They did beat me out. I went through all the appeals and I had to start over again before I actually got it. And finally, I got that sensible judge. I had to hire a guy to help me get it. I tried it on my own the first time and just kept failing. So then the second time, I hired a paralegal. Finally got it. Took about 3 plus years, 3-something years to get it. I really wasn't able to work. Still ain't able. Worse now than I was then. I'm old. I was like a grumpy old man as a teenager, though. I'd come in and go to sleep. It's like an old man. So I've always been sick. I've been sick my whole life. If you was a band just starting out and being on your own, you're not a big one. You're not like Guns N' Roses and Pearl Jam and name any of the big ones, even bigger, some of them country people. Look at some of the ticket prices. The country's where to be. If you want to be some kind of celebrity, aside of Rolling Stones or it's country. Country concert tickets are higher. We ain't seen many country shows. We've mostly seen rock and roll. That's because you could get the tickets cheaper. I don't know about post-COVID. Post-COVID, they probably charging through the nose. Even the big rock bands. Like I only saw Guns N' Roses 4 times, and thankful I saw them 4 times. Saw Hinder 30 plus times because we seen them in bars and anywhere we could see them. We seen them anywhere from their main headliner shows where they was opening with big bands all the way to the bars. By the way, that's the first time I ever entered a bar, by the way. Was to see my bands. You know I don't drink, so I didn't go to bars. I kind of like bars, though, even though I don't drink. A lot of people hate bars. I don't hate them. I like them. I like the environment. I mean, if I could own me a bar, I'd probably own me one. And even less now, because I sort of know some things now. In other words, I probably would less want one now before. But let's just say it was always a dream of mine. Even though I don't drink, I like the environment, the music, especially live music. Live music and bars. Rock and roll. It's got a rock and roll feel to it. Y'all know me, I'm rock and roll. I know it's only rock and roll, but I like. But if you want to be raking in the money, you want to be in country. Because their tickets are higher and everything. And I'm saying that from experience because I'm a ticket buyer. Like one time, my daddy, we was going to see Hinder and all them. He said, well, Alan Jackson and all them was playing, and you made me watch all those bands. And my sister said, yeah, but you know what they was charging? $70 a night. Well, my God, he said. They really, I said, yeah, that's the reason you wouldn't see an Alan Jackson. Hinder and them was playing, what was their tickets? I don't remember. It was nothing like $70 a night. Same venue. It was just they were on the country artists were in the building and they were on the outside in the streets. And them tickets were high as shit. High as fuck. I loved Alan Jackson. I would have loved to seen Alan Jackson. They made me go what? He was complaining to the family about it. Made me go see old bands like Hinder and stuff when Alan Jackson was playing. And we finally told him when he kept complaining. He said the reason you didn't see Alan Jackson is because they was charging to the nose for them people. Of course, you know, he only went for the ride, you know. He always said anyway till he was telling that story about Skid Row on his deathbed. My favorite story. Because like I was telling you, stop reading me the riot act used to piss him off. So it was kind of funny hearing my daddy talk about enjoying a Skid Row show. Because he didn't like them when we was young. When we was kids, he hated them. Oh, he hated them. He thought those things corrupted my children. I told him I already thought that way before I ever even heard that song. That's just the way my brain talks. I never wanted some schmuck telling me what to do. The reason I never wanted a schmuck telling me what to do because I was a giant kid, you know. It's kind of hard to deal with a giant kid. I mean, when you got a little boy and he's as big as a man, but you're a little boy, that's a bad thing. I'm telling you, that's a bad thing. Because that little boy can pretty much, I mean, other than killing him or restraining him or doing something to him, you can't really do much to a big giant Hulk kid. An Incredible Hulk child. You can't do much to him. And he pretty much does what he wants to do. Now, they was lucky I wasn't as bad as I could have been. Everybody was lucky. Because I could have been horrible and I could have got by with it. I was so big, nobody would have been able to do nothing to me. But I'm just saying, when you're a little boy, but you got a big body, but you ain't got a big brain to go with that big body, it's something different. And it kind of inspires a rebel. Because you get the impression as a kid, I'm talking about kid, through the eyes of a kid, I'm talking about through the eyes of a kid, nobody can do anything to me. I'm too big. Come over and play some video game. You got yourself knocked out of your car. Fuck you. I mean, I was 5'9" in the second grade. I stopped at 6'3", thank the Lord. Cocksucker. I see the humor in it now, though. Back then, everybody made fun of me. They called me Andre the Giant, and I even didn't like Andre because of it. He wasn't never one of my favorite wrestlers. Because they would tease me about being a giant. Buck Cherry puts out this song about a subject about that. It was on their, was it their Butterfly album, the one with the Too Drunk to Fuck on it? Child Called It or something. Or it kind of reminded me of that time. Because they was always making fun of me about being Andre the Giant. After Andre the Giant died, I was always like, well, he was a good wrestler. I just didn't ever like him because everybody's been mean to me about him. They literally make fun of me. Good news is, though, that's all they could do. Some kids, they did horrible. I mean, they'd bully them around. My sister was one of them that got bullied around. They didn't never bully me. They was always fucking scared of me. Indeed, this one dude, I told y'all about him. He was a friend of mine. I don't name him because he's probably still out there somewhere. If he's still alive, he's probably still out there. I hadn't seen him since he moved. Well, I lie. I seen him one time after we moved. It was at something that we was at, and I seen him. Some event we was at. We was out of town, and that's where I seen him. I hadn't seen him since then. But he actually was telling me, he would come up and pick on me. He'd go, hey, Phil, how you doing, Phil? Phil. How you doing, Phil? Yeah, Phil. And then he would insult me. You're fat, Phil. You big fat, Phil. You big old fat thing. You need to live on diet, Phil. Phil. And I'd get tired of him. And he'd say other things to really mean stuff. But then years later, and I totally forgot about it, we became friends over the years after counselors tried to force him. My daddy threatened to beat his ass. My daddy literally went into school. I mean, I'm telling you, in front of the 2 counselors and the teacher. And he did this. And I kid you not, my sister was there. He went in there and said, guess what, y'all? I said, he's bullying my child. He makes my child not even want to be here, and then y'all give my child trouble for not wanting to be here. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my belt off. I've always popped my belt at my children. I've never hit them with it. He told them that. And he did. He'd always pop that belt at us, and it kept us in line to about 13, and I figured out, he ain't going to hit me with that belt. And I laughed at him. I said, you're not going to hit me. So it's 13, my ugly ear. He said, I'm actually going to use this belt on him, and then I'm going to put my arms out, and let you take me to jail. He told them that. Well, they made me take counseling too because of that, even though I wasn't the problem there. I had done nothing wrong. They acted like I was the problem, and I wasn't the problem. I was just trying to keep my fucking distance from him. Well, we became friends after that. I mean, over the years. I totally forgot about it. And then when he was moving, he started crying. He said, Philip, you're one of my best friends. I said, I know we started out rough, and you're one of the main reasons I don't want to move. And he cried. And I said, you don't have to apologize. And he apologized to me. I said, you don't have to apologize for that. I said, I forgot about it. But it still bothered him. It ate him up. But he said, I was just telling you everything they're saying about you behind your back. I said, well, I don't really care what they think. I've never been a person that cared what people think. So, but I don't. See, I won't let it affect me. It's not that I like it. It's like that Johnny Cash song that you go, what's that he goes? He says, things are to happen that way. I don't really like it, but things happen that way. That's me. It's not that I don't care. I just don't let it affect me. But sometimes it does hurt when you hear people talking bad about you and stuff. I mean, it really, if you're a human and you feel, it hurts. But I don't let that discourage me for anything. Like if I want to do something and I can do it, I'll try to do it. Now if I can, I just don't do it. But if I want to try, I'll try to do it. And if I fail, I just fail. And I don't let nothing anybody says deter me from that. In other words, you won't derail me. The only thing that'll derail me is me. It won't be people. I won't worry about what people say. Hell, people should talk about me like I'm a clown all the time anyway. People make fun of me. Still do. They made fun of me on the internet. I just don't let it bother me. Because you can't live worrying about what people think. You worry about what people think, you'll be a basket case. You'll be doing things like that kid selling your soul to Satan for power and hurting people and everything else. If you worry about what people think, you got to be you. You got to let them be them. Now, but it was good that I got to escape the most part of it because I'm telling you, that'd have been awful. School is awful. My sister went through it.
I'm starting a new raw diet this week. Yeah, whatever.
I never had to experience that. I only had them experiencing what they was comfortable doing, what they felt they could get by with. And Andre the Giant was one of those things they got by with. But it also made me never like Andre the Giant as a wrestler. I look at him now and I think, because I'm over it now, I don't think about it. But when I was a kid, boy, I didn't like him. Because everybody made fun of me about being a giant. Now I look at his comic. I get tickled about it. Indeed, I wished I'd allowed more pictures. I get comedy out of it now thinking about how big I was. And how little I was, but yet how big I was. And then in my brain, I was thinking, I'm too big for you to do anything to. You can't do nothing to me. And I always loved it when I ran into anybody bigger than me. But even then, I wasn't scared of them. Because that principle that I'm telling you about, that vice I always bring up, that schmuck, that was the biggest bully I ever met in my life, besides his counterpart, the social worker. He was a giant. He was about 8 feet tall. 7, 8 feet tall. He was a big old guy. He was over my head. I just wasn't scared of him. Of course, now my daddy was a big influencer in that. He was a little short man. And he'd always get hold of them big dudes. He liked getting the big ones. Those are the ones he liked getting hold of. What you gonna do to him, Dave? That's when I was still little. Little me. I don't know, but he's gonna find out here in a minute, son. Now I still remember one of them. One of them was messing with him. He grumbled this stuff. He said he had his toolbox out there. He's gonna keep on. I'm gonna hit him with this damn lug wrench, he said. He gritted it at his teeth. He said, he's gonna keep on. He's gonna get my lug wrench. And take it to the limit, yeah, yeah. Whoa! Just waiting on an angel to I didn't hit it. I'm falling for you. I was just singing the first thing that come to my brain. For some reason, the Hinder came to my brain. Well, I'm going to get out of here for the night. It's been good. It's been a good night. And Christine's going to say goodbye. Christine. Little Christine. Little minifigure Christine. I finally got her out. I need to take a picture of her. I think I may do that when I get through my phone over here. No, I pictured Axl Rose and them today, but I just put them together. They'd just come in from the mail. I had to assemble them. And I showed them off. They just came in the mail. They're supposed to come Friday. And I told my mama this. I looked and saw they were supposed to come, but they got delayed or something happened. The mail, it always does. It always does in this shithole they've created in Dalton, Georgia. They got delayed, and I told her, well, they're overseas somewhere, and I didn't know where it was at the time. I didn't learn about Saturday where it was actually at. I knew it was beautiful. I've seen the pictures been posted, and you can see the water and stuff. It's Portugal. When I found out where it was at, I joked. I said, well, I guess they come from Portugal because it took them. They're supposed to be been delivered Friday, but they didn't come in until today. I built those cheap, by the way. I gave them all the same blue jeans because they were only like $1.99 a piece. God, how much I paid for them? It wasn't that much. I build them figures when I can. I like building these little figures. That would have been my dream when I was a kid. Building, and I don't know how I didn't think of Legos. Have been around for a long time. My parents just didn't buy them for us. A lot of other kids had them. We didn't. I'm telling you, though, they'd have made a mistake if they had to. Because I'd have been building every toy I ever wanted to build. That's probably why they didn't do it. See, I was always creative. And how I even got on it now, it wasn't even those games. You know, I started buying those Lego games. But it wasn't even them that got me on that. I was looking up making action figures for my JCBW. I just wanted them just to make an action figure, you know. Not to sell, just me one action figure a piece. And I saw what it was going to cost for me to have one action figure made. And I started looking for alternatives, and Lego minifigures come up. You can build them several ways. There's companies that actually build them for you. You can go on there and just buy the bulk pieces yourself and put them together on eBay or wherever you can get them. That's what I do sometimes. Sometimes I do. I'm doing the customs too. I'll show some of them really soon. But it's not finished with what I'm doing yet. I built my first Jelf and Trent now. Indeed, Trent's got the damn day on his shirt. Jelf used to have the JCW wrestling printed on his shirt. JCW-CAW wrestling. But I gave him the bulk bunch I bought, the bulks, they had a suit in there. So I took his head off and put it on the suit. That's how I got on the minifigures. was I was wanting to build an action figure. But I don't really mind. I mean, I even found a mini ring. I've never filmed anything with it yet. I was planning to do. I just don't have the time anymore. I mean, back then I didn't have the internet. I didn't have phones. I didn't have. It was just my day. You know, my day. I've been a disabled person. Waking up, sleeping, eating, plenty of time to watch TV. Plenty of time. But now that I've time spent, like I do my gaming, if I do my gaming, that takes, like how long do I stay on tonight? An hour and 15 minutes? Well, if you take 60 minutes of gaming, 30 minutes here, 40 minutes there, you don't have time for anything else. And setting up the streams even just worse than just doing the gaming. You have to sometimes spend time doing that. Sometimes it'll take you a full hour to get that working. If you stream it, you record it, you got to set up your stuff to record it with. So I just don't have time to get out action figures and film a little show every few days. So I don't have the time I used to have. Too much time on my hands. If I could do my gaming, and I want to put my time in my gaming over anything else, if I'm going to give my time to anything, it's going to be my gaming right now. Or my album if I'm going to finish it. All the days you see me disappearing, I'm either sleeping because I'm just wore out, or I'm working on the album. Sometimes I'm just wore out. And she's took a shower long enough. Now I'm going to get out of here tonight, and I'll see y'all later. Probably made a fool of myself many times tonight. The things that gives people the ammunition to laugh at me, I don't care. Let them laugh. Let them laugh. If it's one of them things that you'll stand for on Judgment Day, say not just something silly and whatever vein, or something bad, and you were saying stuff about me there, well, then the laughing will turn to weeping and gnashing of teeth one day. The laughing will turn to weeping and gnashing of teeth. That means if it was something serious. I'm not talking about petty shit. I'm talking about those who plan harm to people. And you know who you are, you people who plan to harm us. You'll stand and weep and gnash of teeth one day. You people that's planning the harm that us Christians are praying that God hinder you. Some of them have been even involved in making these consoles that I love. One in name in particular. People thinks he's such a good humanitarian, but he ain't no humanitarian, y'all. He's a devil. And I love his Xbox. He's a devil. I'll see y'all next time. Archive before archive. I'm sure that Skippy before archive will be posted eventually. I can't promise you when, because I struggle to post things. I love his Xbox, but he is a creature.